Okay, we're going to move on to the next set of problems, and the next set of problems are going to involve factoring when a is not equal to 1. So you'll notice now that there's going to be numbers in front of the x squared, so those are the ones that we're going to work with. And we're going to try to solve those. So this is a little bit different. It just involves a couple of extra steps. I'm going to do two different ways to solve this type of problem, and then you can decide which way you prefer and continue to do that way. So both of them are very similar. Some people think that one way is easier than the other. They really are the exact same thing. It's just the way that you set them up look different, but the same things do happen. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we have 5 and 24. So notice that my A value is equal to 5, my B value is equal to 34, and my C value is equal to 24. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to multiply A times C. So that means I'm going to multiply 5 times 24, and that's going to equal 120. I'm going to create my T table. I'm then going to do the same rule that I did before. I look at this plus sign. That tells me both signs are the same. I see this plus sign tells me both signs are positive. So I'm going to go ahead and do positive and positive, positive and positive, and positive and positive. So what we're going to do is we need to find multiples of 120, not just 24 now because of that number in front, but multiples of 120 that add up to 34, which is this middle term right here. So, obviously we're going to do 1 and 20, which aren't going to add up to 34, 2 and 60, 3 and 40. So we have 3 and 40. Those don't add up, but notice we're getting closer. We got to 43. So we're going to try 4 and 30. If we add those two up, we get our 34. So there's our answer. Now, that's the answer that we're going to work with, but we cannot just write out the factors as x plus 4 and x plus 30. And the reason is because of that 5. So if that was a 1, then we would just write out the answer and we're done. But in this case, now we're going to have to do a couple other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this equation, 5x squared, and then in the middle, I'm going to put this number and this number down like this, plus 4x plus 30x. Now notice that these two numbers, 4x plus 30x equals 34x. So these two add up to the same thing, so it doesn't change the problem. And then we do plus 24. Now, it doesn't matter if I put the plus 30 here and the 4 over here, or if I have them written this way, it will work out correctly either way. And then I'm going to group my values together. So that gives me, you'll notice over here, 5x squared plus 4x plus 30x plus 24, because there's a plus in the middle. We learned this in the last lesson. If there's a plus here, I don't have to change any of these values here. If this was a minus, then this term right here would change from positive to negative or negative to positive. But I don't have to do that in this case. So we look at what's common to these two terms that I can factor out. And notice out of the numbers, I can't factor anything out, but I can factor out an x. So then I'm left with 5x plus 4. And I have my plus sign, which just kind of falls down. 30 and 24. The highest number that comes out of there is 6. 2 does come out of there. 3 does come out of there, but 6 is my highest number that comes out of there. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5, so I have 5x. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And what you should notice is that these two terms should be exactly the same. 5x plus 4 and 5x plus 4. If you have something different, then you did something wrong. It could be that you didn't factor out enough. It could be that you factored out incorrectly. You have to go back and you have to check it and make sure that these two are the same. And they should be the same if you found these numbers that add up to 34. And so we did. So remember from last time, we can factor out a 5x plus 4. That cancels this one and this one. And we have left an x plus 6. And there's my answer. So that's one way to do it. So you can do it by grouping. That's the method that I just did here. Or we can do the box method, which will be the next method that we're going to do on this one. So we have 2y squared plus y minus 1. We're still going to multiply the a and the c. So a times c, which is 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. We draw our t table, and then we look at what numbers, or we have to first figure out the signs. This tells me that the two signs are different. This tells me that larger one is positive. So I have minus plus. I could do another minus plus, but you're going to see this is pretty straightforward. We look at all the multiples of 2. There's really only one multiple of 2, 1 and 2. Remember, lowest number goes on the left, higher number goes on the right. These two add up to 1, which is that middle term right there. And we found it. So in this case, instead of doing the grouping, which we could do, we're going to draw a box. And we're going to draw a 2 by 2 box. Always for a quadratic, you're going to end up with a 2 by 2. Might have zeros in there, but that's okay. But we still draw up the box. And so we're going to put the 2y squared in this upper left corner. We're going to put the negative 1, this one right here, in the bottom right corner. And then we're going to put these two in the leftover boxes. We're going to have minus 1x and plus 2x. Now I didn't have to put the plus sign there, but I did just to show you that it can go there. So, and it doesn't matter if I put the 2x where it is here, or if I put the 2x down here. I could reverse these two and it'll still work. And then we figure out what's common across. So we figure out, look at the row, what's common to the, and notice I put a y there. So, I put an x there, that should be a y. So let me correct that. My variable is not x, my variable is y. Okay, so now I have a 2y squared and a 2y. What's common to both of those? A 2 and a y. I look at the, and I'm not going to look at the sign. So what's important is that I'm not going to look at the negative sign. I'm just going to look at what's common between 1y and 1, and that's just 1. And then you look at the closest box to this number here. If it's negative, then this is negative. If it's not negative, then this would be positive. So we're going to do that going up. So the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to go up. So notice here what's common between 2 and 1. The only number that goes into both of them is just a 1. And then we have a y because of the y squared and the y. And then we can see that this is a positive. That's why it's a positive in front. And then we look at this 2 and 1. The only common number between those two is a 1. Because this is positive, this is positive. Notice it does not matter that this one's negative. So it's always the closest box to that one. And then we have our factors. So notice here we have 2y minus 1. There's one factor. And my other factor is y plus 1. Notice I did not put the 1 in front of the y just because we don't have to. Again, I wouldn't mark it wrong, but you should know what it means to do that. And so now we have this solution. So we have a solution using the box method. We have a solution using factor by grouping. And so at this point, I'm going to stop, and then we're going to do some more problems. We've got a few more problems to go through, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to do all those problems on the next video.